we have here with us the Suzuki Celerio. Let's do a review. The Celerio is one of Suzuki's small hatchback offerings in the Philippines. It was launched back in May with one variant that has two transmission options. This particular unit we have is the Suzuki Celerio 1.0 GL, and it's priced at 754,000 Philippine pesos, which is right in between its main rivals like the very popular Toyota Wigo and Honda Brio. Looking at the exterior, the Celerio is definitely well designed. It combines perfectly a fierce look with a cute and bubbly appearance, with its large rounded headlights and small front grille. The headlights, by the way, are halogens, and so are the fog lights on the bumper. On the side, there isn't much to talk about. It's simple to say the least. We have 15-inch alloy wheels wrapped in 175/60 Yokohama tires, which are blacked out and match the car's design very well. Over at the back, the Celerio continues to look simple with its very clean design. The taillights, which are raindrop shaped, are all halogen. Overall, for the exterior, Suzuki has definitely done a good job. To add, the speedy blue exterior color is also very nice. As for cargo space, the Celerio does pretty good for its segment. We have 295 liters of space, which is pretty decent. We can definitely fit a large piece of luggage here. Now we're inside the Celerio and we're greeted by a nicely designed interior. All the shapes, all the lines, shapes, circle, square, lines, they all work together very well. And also, it kind of looks similar to the design language they used in the previous generation Celerio, but still, it looks really good. Especially the design of the aircon vents, all aircon vents, and the silver trimming they put here so it doesn't look as cheap or as budget-like as it would. And also, materials here are pretty decent for the price. So, of course, we have hard touch plastics everywhere, and that's expected, but they all feel really solid and they all feel nicely built. So everywhere, even the door armrests are hard touch plastic, so don't expect to find any form of leather or any soft touch material here except on the seats. Also, you'll notice that the window controls are not located here on the door, and the window locks, they're all located here on the dashboard. So we have here the automatic down driver side window. It's not automatic up. We have the passenger side, so you're gonna go down now, see, and then door locks and our window lock right here, and of course the hazard button in between all of them. Some say that having them all here increases the space here on this side. I don't know if it really does, but I guess it's okay. And some other cars do this as well, like the Suzuki Jimny or the Jeep Wrangler and Gladiator. And then for the steering wheel, we have a really big steering wheel for a small car, and it's just wrapped in polyurethane, but that's expected as well. And then we do have audio controls here on the left side. Of course, we don't expect to find cruise control na here. And then there's also some silver trim plastic here, which of course makes it look better. Then it's tilt only. I also expected that. You can't telescope, but at least still it's adjustable, unlike in some other cheaper car. We have a really cute horn as expected from a small car, so see, really cute. And then moving on, for the infotainment system, we have here a touchscreen, which is of course really good. It's Sony, by the way, and it's a 6.2-inch screen, and they say it's anti-glare, but it does get washed out in the sun, honestly. But still, it's nicely responsive, it works well, it's easy to navigate, not hard at all, and you have Bluetooth and USB connection. And also, what I appreciate here is that we have a volume knob right here, so we don't have to deal with small buttons or touch sensitive buttons anywhere here. At least we have this, even if it's quite small. Then we also have our only USB port in the cabin over here. Unfortunately, it's the only one, and it doesn't charge devices that fast, but it will do. And then for the climate control, it's what you expect from a small car. We only have a manual one here, so fan speed, temperature, and our different zones. And still, these controls feel really good when you have to use them. Then moving below, we have our only 12-volt power outlet, a bang for another one, tapos some storage, so we have there our coins, and then 2 cup holders. We have our bottle of water, which fits really well. And then over here, our shifter for the auto gear shift transmission, or AGS. So to use it, it's just typical automatic transmission but without the park. So right now we're on neutral, put it in reverse, and back to neutral, drive, and then manual mode. And then as you heard, we do have parking sensors, which is really much appreciated in this car. Then of course we have our standard parking brake. Unfortunately, no armrest, but that's also expected from this car. Instead, over here we have the window controls for the rear seats, which I'll show you later. Then before we go to the back, let's talk about the seats here in front. And as expected, we only have fabric seats. It's not the best material in the sides, but the middle portion does feel okay. Then of course it's a bit flat, but that's also expected, and it is good enough for when you're driving inside the city. And also good to note, the seats you can't adjust the headrest, and I'm not sure, but they are very similar to what you'll find in the Suzuki s-presso, which we already featured before. Now we're at the back of the Celerio, and as you can see, there is a lot of space here, which I was surprised when I got in. So it may be small on the outside, but inside we have a lot of space, and I'm pretty sure we can fit here 2 passengers, of course, comfortably. A third adult may be a bit of a squeeze, but if you put a child in the middle, it will be okay, definitely. And of course, there isn't much to expect back here. We have the same seat material, no armrest. We do have adjustable headrests here, which I was surprised that we have. And then we have bottle holder on the door, which can fit my bottle, which is currently in front. But anyway, 1 pocket over there, and our window controls for the rear. So as you can see, you do have to reach for them, but that's okay. Then again, back to space, we have really good leg room, foot room, also really good because the front seats are placed a bit higher. Then headroom is also pretty decent for someone like me at 5 feet and 7 inches. That's pretty much it back here. Oh, we do have 2 speakers on the door, so we have 4 speakers for this whole car. So now we're driving the Suzuki Celerio, and I'll be honest that there isn't much to brag here. So let's talk about the engine. And under the hood of the Celerio is a 1-liter 3-cylinder naturally aspirated engine. It produces 67 horsepower and 89 newton meters of torque, and that is paired to what Suzuki calls an auto gear shift transmission, or AGS, otherwise known as the automated manual transmission, or AMT. That's basically a manual transmission that shifts on its own without you having to do a clutch, and we'll talk about this more in just a bit. As expected from a small car, you don't get a lot of power, but that will do well here inside the city. So right now we're here inside the city, and that is not a problem at all. When you do get out on the highway, that's when you will feel a bit more underpowered, but that's already expected na rin from a car like this. Now let's talk about the transmission, or the AGS. And the good thing about it is that you don't have to shift the gears on your own, especially for those who aren't used to driving manual transmissions. You don't have to deal with a clutch here. The thing with it though is that it may take some time for it to shift the gears on its own. So there are times that it will feel a bit laggy, a bit sluggish, a bit rough. But you can easily mitigate that by using the manual mode. So right now, I just put it on manual mode now, and instantly, it's already smoother. All you have to do to make it smooth, just drive it like a manual transmission. So when it's time to shift gears, take your foot off the accelerator, and then now it's really good. Also, it's good to note that the sluggish feeling or laggy feeling is only in lower gear, so like between first and second gear. But once you reach higher, like third gear, it will feel smoother. It will feel a lot better compared to at lower speeds. It's also good to add that sometimes when you use it on automatic mode, that the car does have some difficulty going up. But once you put it on manual, just put it on a lower gear, and you won't have to deal with that problem anymore. So now let's talk about the steering. And as expected from a small car, it's really light, and of course it doesn't give you the most feedback, doesn't give you the best feeling, but this will do for this segment, for this kind of car. This is not a problem at all. And also, I expected a little less feedback here, but it's actually pretty decent. Of course, ride quality is also pretty good, so it's decent as well for This kind of car, it takes bumps really well for the most part. Just avoid the deeper potholes and all, because then you will really feel the car crash over them, which is not the best feeling, diba? And then in terms of NVH insulation, this has a lot to improve, to be honest. So road noise, as expected, it's pretty loud, but sometimes small cars are like that, but there are cars that will be quieter at the same price point. Then there's also a lot of vibration from the engine, and in this case right now, the roads are a bit wet because it's just finished raining, and we can hear all the water that we're passing on, which doesn't sound the best. In terms of visibility, everything here is good actually, because despite being a tiny car, we have huge windshield, large windows, and then even at the back. Then also, despite us not having a reverse camera, which I expected, I was surprised to find that we have parking sensors, which is really helpful even if it's a tiny car. Overall, this may not give us the best driving experience, but honestly, it can get a bit fun at times. Now, in terms of fuel economy, we were able to drive this around the city lang. We took it on the highway, but for a short distance only, and still it was within the city. And then overall, we were able to average for city driving and highway driving around 13 to 14 kilometers per liter, which is actually pretty good na rin, although I expected a bit more. Also, I'd like to add that for fuel economy savings, Suzuki actually equipped this with its auto start stop system. So I turned it off right now. I turned it on now, but it doesn't activate it. But anyway, when you do stop, of course, the car will switch off. But when it starts up, it's quite obvious given the fact that this car is a 3-cylinder. So we have that engine vibration, and people will think that you actually stalled the car. Now, in all honesty, there are a lot of better options at the Suzuki Celerio's price point. So for a little less, you can get the Toyota Wigo TRD Sport, and then for a little more, you can get the Honda Brio RS. Then, of course, there are other variants as well of those two cars. And then there's also the Cherry Tiggo 2, which is already a crossover, for about the same price as well. Still, I can say that this is a good car when it comes to city driving, if you want fuel efficiency, and if you want a lot of space in a small car. Despite all that though, this will definitely leave you wanting more.